organization that I chose to cover is Jet Airways. A little bit of history about them is that they were founded by Naresh Goyal, who has over 4 decades of aviation experience. The company was established in 1992 and was focused on a luxury and affordability. They have the widest domestic network in India and operate to over 20 international destinations, including Hong Kong, Dubai, Singapore, and many others. They were awarded the Best Domestic Airline in 2011 and 2013, and were also recognized in 2011 with the Customer Brand Loyalty Award. The co-founder Naresh Goyal was given his position in 2007 after the company rebranded to Sahara Airlines Limited. He graduated in 1967 and worked for GSA Lebanese International Airlines while undergoing extensive training between 1967 and 1974 in all aspects of foreign affairs. Jet Airways has mainly been focused on engineering and maintenance. Their headquarters are based out of Mumbai and are DGCA approved. There are over 2,800 employees, which include logistics, technical service, base maintenance, and shop and line maintenance. Their fleet consists of 101 planes, and the total staff is 13,945 people. The crisis that occurred within the company happened in August of 2014 when one of Jet Airways' planes suddenly dropped 5,000 feet while 34,000 feet in the air. The cause for the incident was that the main pilot was taking a controlled rest while his co-pilot was on her iPad, supposedly checking flight information. No passengers were hurt during the incident, and pilots were immediately called in for questioning regarding the incident. Jetways released a comment following the incident stating that they were looking into the situation and dissecting training procedures that pilots were put through prior to the crisis. One spokesperson said that the airline is also extending all cooperation in the matter to DGCA by providing all necessary assistance for the inquiry. After reviewing multiple sites, it was found that the DGCA had reported a downgrade in India's international safety assessment as of 2014, making their standards not meet the international safety standards of India. The pilots involved were not immediately suspended after the incident, and it took an anonymous tip to get the two suspended, and they were not suspended by the Airways themselves, but by an outside source. The organization used Facebook and Twitter to share their media release with the public, and it consisted of about 2 sentences. It was not very informative, it was brief, and it left the public with many assumptions. Every online article had the same quote from the organization and did not provide any insight into what the airline was doing to take action. The DCGA continued their investigation while Jet Airways carried on with their normal everyday business and failed to keep the public informed and updated. The media took the crisis and made it into a much larger deal than the organization did itself. Most websites claimed the plane fell over 5,000 feet, while credible sources claimed it was only 2,000. Whether it be one or the other, the majority blamed the organization for the problem and placed more emphasis on the fact that the pilots had been improperly trained. One website went as far to say that the pilot taking the controlled rest had actually dozed off unexpectedly, and that his co-pilot had tinkered with the controls and was not actually on his iPad. Consumers surprisingly took 2 sides when it came to the crisis itself. Some believed that the media was blowing out of proportion, while others believed that the incident was largely a problem. One source argued, why was the co-pilot on a tablet in the first place, which is what many sided with. Another stated that the airline has a 100% safety record and said that's what I call a safe airline. Many took both sides, but mainly argued that the co-pilot should not have been on his tablet and that the other pilot should not have been asleep. Some stakeholders used Facebook as a means to display their opinions about the crisis. One person stated, I hate Jet Airways because of the poor service and partly because of the recent event. One comment on Daily Mail stated, I'm just wondering, Daily Mail, do you have reporters that only write scary articles on impending airline disasters? Many argued that the media blew it out of proportion and that they were posting inaccurate comments. This pointed the blame at the media, saying that they blew the event out of proportion and turned it into something it wasn't. A summary of everything that happened was that the organization failed overall at repairing their image and trying to make amends with their customers. The first sign that this happened was when the 2 pilots that were involved in the incident were not immediately suspended and were able to continue to fly for the next 5 days. It took an outside source to tip them and to have their license revoked while the investigation ensued. The media took this opportunity to kind of bash them a little bit for taking so long to take action, and made them expound on facts that may or may not have been true. And it made people assume that things were worse than they really were. The media did a far better job of covering the event than the actual organization did itself. Either way, if the facts were untrue or not, um, the media still did a really good job at covering it and did better than the company. The company remained silent and let false accusations continue and didn't really come forward and say anything. They did cooperate with officials but made no effort to redeem themselves throughout the course. Some recommendations for the organization if this were to happen again. The first action that should have taken place would have been to suspend the pilots who were involved in the incident. Taking this initiative would have shown the public that their stakeholders that they were truly concerned about what happened. It almost made the organization look like they didn't care about the situation and that the pilots really weren't at fault for anything. Jet Airways should have used their social media to open up to the public. They essentially opened it up and left a media release out, but they weren't using it to directly communicate with the public and let them ask questions. It would have allowed for them kind of a two-way street so that people could have asked them questions about what was going on, and they could have kept them a little bit more updated and quickly let them know what was going on. The organization should have taken the rebuilding posture stance, where they should have made sure that the passengers and the stakeholders were okay, and if any medical issues did happen, that they were covered. They should have started rebuilding their image immediately after it happened. They should have done a press conference where someone who is credible and knew a lot about the organization should have come forward and said what was wrong, even if they didn't know exactly what was happening. They should have at least let the public know that they were working to fix any problems. There was really no spokesperson present throughout the event, and at least the vice president or someone credible within the organization should have been chosen to do this. There was really no plan for the organization, obviously, or something like this would have been taken care of immediately. But next time there should be a plan so the situation could have been handled and they could have